Hello friends, I'm back, and in that last video I was just talking about images, but in this one we're going to make a little game, and we're going to click on this caterpillar and make an animation happen. And is that a game? I don't know. I think so, technically. Feels like a game to me. Anyway, it's a transformation. And you can hopefully come up with a better transformation than this, but what I'm going to do is just try to keep this as straightforward as possible and transform this caterpillar into a butterfly. And to do that, we're going to just need to click on the screen. So, just simplest game I could imagine, essentially. For people that are struggling with some of these, state management issues, I just don't know how to handle these classes. Maybe this will be interesting and fun way to think about how to handle user interaction. So I'm going to go ahead and load in my butterfly images, and I'm going to create an empty array. And instead of using this array method or this or that or the other thing, I'm just going to say let butterfly1 equal load image, and in here we'll just load in 0.jpg. And so now we've got this variable butterfly1. And I do like to encourage people to explore those array methods, and actually let's call these 3, 2, 1, and 0, because that'll mirror these image titles. I do like to, there's if we were loading like 100 images, I would say, whoa, that's crazy to type all those out by hand. But with just 4, maybe it's easier, especially right now in midterms time, to just code it the way it's easy. So we'll do that. We'll copy this, this, and this. And so then we get butterfly 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now you remember, in order to draw these, so here we can draw our caterpillar. And let's go ahead and resize this caterpillar a little bit. Let's get rid of this caterpillar crop altogether. What we can do is make this be sized to canvas width over 6 and canvas height. Is that right? I actually just did this video and I screwed it up, so now I'm doing it again. Let's do canvas width over 2. You can rest assured I'm going to mess up a bunch more times in this video, but I'm not going to redo it again. And then for this one we can say canvas width over 4. That'll be our x value. And for this one we'll say canvas height over 4. So now we've got an image that's going to be sized, so the width and height will be half of the overall canvas, and the x and y positions are going to be a quarter of the overall canvas. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I guess I need to open it up. So there we go. So now we've got an image that's half the size of the canvas, and it's positioned not in the center, but in the quarter mark. So this looks fairly well centered to me. Reasonably enough, anyway. And we can even go one step further, which I recommend, which is we'll take these values here and we'll store those as variables. And so we'll say let image x, image y, image width, image height. And then we'll take these values and put them in there. So image X, image Y, image width, and image height. All right, so now we can get rid of these commas, and we'll just drop those values in here. We'll say image X, image Y, image width, image height. And if you're thinking, well, that's just a big pain in the butt to have to redo that, variables are so useful to have because we can reuse them in other places. And the place where we're going to use it is when we check our click. So what we're going to have is this function mouse pressed, and we're going to check whether this thing has been clicked or not. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll say if, and remember we have this thing mouse X, and we have this thing mouse Y. And we can console.log those values and see that when we, if I open my, and let's see our resizing in action. I'm just going to refresh the browser now. And you can see since I opened up this console, that made my canvas or my window smaller, and now my canvas got smaller and my image got smaller, which is super nice. If I click here, we get the mouse X and the mouse Y. So we want to just check if the mouse X is bigger than here and less than here and bigger than there and less than there. Let's do it. So I'll say if mouse X is greater than image X and mouse X is less than image X plus image width, and mouse Y is greater than image Y, and mouse Y is less than image Y plus image height, then clicked equals true. Else console.log clicked outside image. Okay, so now let's take a look. Clicked outside image. Oh, and we're not doing anything with that clicked yet. Let's set that first to false up here. And then let's use that in our draw loop. We'll say if clicked, then draw something, else draw this caterpillar. So now we've got this nifty thing called state. We've got a state of this game. If clicked is true, we're going to draw something in here. And if it's false, we're going to draw what we've been drawing. But I'm going to also add some text, and it's going to say click the caterpillar for a nice surprise. And we can also give this an X and Y coordinate, and let's just go ahead and say image X and image Y minus, maybe we'll say canvas width divided by 6. So that'll just give us a nice, that's a little bit too high, right? Canvas width divided by 12. There we go. So that's kind of nice. Maybe we'll make our text size a little bit bigger. And again, let's use that canvas width value to size it. So now that means that when I change the size of this, the text will get a little bit bigger. And if I make this small, the text will get small. So that's really nice. And we've now got this clicked value. Let's draw our butterflies. And let's just draw them at the same position. So now we'll refresh that. And there we go. We get butterfly 0. That's so nice. And maybe we want to get rid of that text. Oh, right. In our draw loop, we need to draw a background. And now if we click it, away goes that text. The butterflies here. We're not animating, but I bet you remember how to do that. We need to create an image counter. And then we need to increment that image counter in our draw loop. And we need to make sure that that image counter stays within our number of images. And our number of images is going to be butterflies.length -1. Notice I put these parentheses around that. That's very important. Otherwise, it'll look for the modulo of butterflies.length and then subtract 1 from that. But we want to first subtract 1 from the length and then get the modulo of this image counter. So when the image counter is 4, it's going to go back to 0. And let's just see here. So click on it. And that's moving way too fast. I bet you know what we need to do. We need to go frame rate. Make that frame rate much lower, and now we get that nice transformation. Now we could have multiple things happen here. You know, it's not like we have to stop here. We could create multiple states for this game, and we could have something else happen after the butterfly happens. It's a little bit harder to manage that kind of state without the classes, right? Because when we click on the butterfly, we want to do a different thing than when we clicked on the caterpillar. But we can handle it this way too, and I'll leave that to you to sort of think on. My feeling would be you'd want to have an array of clicks. So you could, instead of having just one clicked, you could have as many as you want. And you could have a click counter that would say, like, which one are we looking at now? But as far as having just a simple game, I think we just did it. And isn't that nice? So if you want to have an animation that evolves, this is one way to do it. It's just one really straightforward way to do it. And maybe what we'll do is what I could do is set and we'll say let timed out equal false. And what I'll do in here is I'll say if timed out, then we're going to do one thing, else we're going to do another thing. And so as long as we're not timed out, which is currently the case, we are presently not timed out, we're going to do this thing. And once we're timed out, we're going to say background 30, and we'll say text thanks for playing. And again, we'll use that Let's use just that same positioning. And that same size. But now we're going to need to give it a new color because we're going to be on black. So let's just see. Oh, and then we need to set that value timed out. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to make a function called set timed. I'll call it end game. And we're gonna in here we're gonna say timed out equals true. You know what? Let's actually change that variable to game over. And so I'm gonna have to update that up here. We'll say game over. Game over equals false. Now, when we want to end the game, what we're going to do is from the time this clicked equals true happens, I'll say set timeout, and I'll pass in that function, and I'll wait 3 seconds. So set timeout is this function that takes in a function and runs it after a certain period of time. And I did talk about that a little bit in some of the videos, but maybe you missed it. It's a pretty neat function. So I'm going to come over here and see if it works. Okay, there's my butterfly. After 3 seconds, the game ended. So there's an example of another transformation you could do after that click. So we could use that click. You could do something other than just show the game over. You could display a whole new screen here, and not call this game over, but call it like next stage or next level. So you can see, you know, pretty quickly we're going to get a lot of these nested if-else statements. There are interesting ways to handle this, and if you're interested in that, holler at me. I would love to talk to you about it. But this is just a nice, simple, hopefully easy to understand approach for y'all out there. Think about your midterms, and I'm thinking about you. I'm hoping you're doing well. I'm hoping you're enjoying this beautiful